Hi everyone, I am Julia at AnchorHaven, and this is my full disclosure diary. Probably episode 5, I'm not too sure. It is the 9th of August 2025, and it's been a month since I've had my foot surgery. So I've had a lot of stuff going on in the last 4 weeks because I've kind of been forced to sit and sleep and meditate and unable to even go out in the garden because I live upstairs in a first floor masonette. So I've kind of been forced into hermit mode. And although I've got some great friends and family, majority, like 90% of my time, I'm spending alone. My son's a teenager, so he likes to spend his time alone as well. So I've just kind of been left to do the healing work this past month, and that can be quite difficult. But I just wanted to talk about the Lionsgate a little bit because I'm going to be doing a full moon circle tonight in my AnchorHaven ladies groups. And one of the things that I wanted to make clear with everybody is that everything is possible. So absolutely everything is possible. And some of the stuff that you hear us say in the full disclosure movement community might seem outrageous. And some of the stuff I'm going to share with you about my experiences in the past 4 weeks do seem outrageous. And this is just my personal truth, my experiences. This is my testimony. And I'm really not looking for comments or anything like that. I just want to try and document this process while I feel safe to do so. Okay. We're in this 8-8 portal, which we've been in since the end of July, this Lionsgate portal. And we've reached the peak now. So we're starting to come down from all these intense energies. And the messages that have been coming forward, um, you know, from my higher selves and guides and from tarot readers on Instagram and things like that. This is a time of independence, and yeah, there may be you moving into the hermit mode like I've experienced this past 4 weeks. This is a solitary journey, and even though there's people along the way that have got pieces of your puzzle, at the end of the day, you need to do the work. Yeah, you need to do the heart healing, you need to do the memory recall and soul realignment. Basically, it's a solitary journey and it's a warrior's journey as well. This is a warrior path that we're on. So it's important to set goals, and I always struggle with setting goals, but I do feel that I've hit some kind of new gateway now, that this rest half of the year is very, very different. I feel like this past half of the year has been a full year in itself, is how I feel. And now we're entering into a new year at this point, is how it actually feels. So set goals and think about, what do you want to achieve in your journey? And if you're trying to recover your memories and trying to find out and answer the questions, who am I, where am I from, and things like that, be open to possibilities, be open to the outrageous, coming forward and being true. And I've said in previous videos, you'll know what's true to you because you'll feel it in your body, you'll feel a resonance, and it might even be that you reject it at first. Yeah, like when I was told that I had a connection to somebody in the community, my first thing was to reject it and say, no, I'm not drawn to that person. I've tried to look at their work and there's a resistance. The resistance was there because of the connection. It's like in crystal therapy, the crystals that you don't like are the crystals you need the most. And it's the same in the community. You might be having a reaction to somebody because of past life experiences with them or parallel life experiences with them. So at first you may go into a period of denial and think, no, that's not me, that's not who I am, this doesn't ring true. And then when you allow it to sit in your energy for a while and you start to ask yourself questions, is this mine, is this my energy, then you'll start to hear and feel what rings true for you. Okay. And the whole message of the Lionsgate portal is the amount of time, effort, consistency, and authenticity you put into your life, you will be prosperous. So whether it's positive energy, you'll be prosperous in, or negative energy, you'll be prosperous in. So be careful about your time and your thoughts and the energy that you're putting into things, and make sure that the most energy you're putting into things is putting love into your life so that you enjoy where you are now. Yeah. So, one of the things I noticed today, somebody said gratitude is the fuel that powers the universe. And I think that's true. I think that's true. Gratitude is the fuel that powers the universe. And we always come back to gratitude. Even when we work with forgiveness energy, for me, that rings as gratitude energy as well, and receiving energy. So just on this Lionsgate portal, being thankful for all the blessings we have, big or small. I had to get myself a new webcam, but luckily I had just enough money to do that. I've paid my bills this month, even though I paid most of them late, but I've been able to do that. So, we do have things to be grateful for. And on this 8-8 portal, it's a remembrance to harmonize your heart, to come back to the heart and think, okay, what do I want to do? What do I want to say? Who do I want to be? And that's something that I'm going to be working with for the next 10 days, really, figuring out what I want to do next. So I know the next half of the year, I've got some big events coming up, which hopefully I'll be able to commit to. But I'm moving back into sound healing a bit more and into access consciousness therapies, which are hands on. I'm still available for ascension assistance, one-to-ones on Zoom or WhatsApp. What we do in these sessions is we talk through what's going on with you, what's going on in your awakening. And there's absolutely nothing you can say to me that will be not accepted, basically, because I've been through so many weird things. And I'm going to list out just some of the weird things that I've experienced this month, just in the last 4 weeks. So you guys know that there's absolutely nothing you can say to me that I'm going to judge you for, or anything like that. So sacred listening is just about providing that space for others. So that's something that I do one-to-one, and it doesn't matter where you are in the world. I can move to your time zone and set up a meeting with you. So I generally work on UK time, but also American Eastern time. So that gives me quite a long day, and I'm happy to do that. That's fine. And I know some people in Australia, and there's like a 12-hour reversal, and but that's cool. So as we move into this next phase of the year, this is our starseed ascension alignment. We're moving into like a truth portal, and I know that because as I connect into my Arturian aspect, who's come forward quite strong lately, my violet flame was upgraded to a justice flame, truth and justice. So there is Arcturian blue starlight that's come in and merged into the flame in my heart. So yeah, so we're stepping into truth, we're stepping into flow, ease, and grace. So a lot of people want to say that this is a wish fulfillment kind of portal, that it's lucky, that it's a time to celebrate. So just allow yourself to do that. I know that you're not alone. You're not alone, but it is time to utilize all of you. Yeah, your masculine and your feminine. It's time to do that. So I've spent the last 4 weeks being in my yin energy, going into hermit mode and allowing myself time to meditate for hours and hours and hours a day, allow myself to sleep and rest, running healing programs on myself with the access consciousness, doing cellular memory repair and quantum crystal therapy and stuff like that for the surgery that I had in my foot and ankle. So just know sometimes we need to do that. Sometimes we're not going to ask the universe for a break because you don't want a physical break, but sometimes it's okay to take yourself out of the game. So you'll notice I've been doing very minimal commitments lately. I don't have a huge amount of clients right now while my body heals, and that's a deliberate move from my guides to make sure that I do the healing work. But I am getting ready to bounce back for the second half of the year now. So we're focusing on utilizing all of us and thinking about what do we want to build in this next half of the year. How do you want to shine your light? How do you want to step into that star galactic energy that you have? And what are you going to lay down and release on this full moon today? So when I was in Priestess Temple in Glastonbury the other week, the thing that I wanted to release was self-sabotage. And I felt like I did that, but I also feel like I still keep tripping myself up because it's something that maybe the darker side of me or the dark handlers and controller side of me know that's something that can be easily triggered. But I'm trying to move into safety because I did a session with Sean Bond last month and I was rewatching it yesterday, and we were talking about the safety of your third eye, the safety of being able to see what's true, what's real, and things like that. So, safety is really important. So, what makes you feel safe? And a lot of us have been in these programs, in government programs, in ET abductions, and all this weird stuff. So there's going to be fight or flight, there's going to be overwhelm, there's going to be real trauma that's going to get triggered and come forward when it's ready to be healed. And the more you mix in the community, the harder it's going to be. Yeah. So just know that moving into safety for this next half of the year is really important. So I started out literally like a month ago, and I had my foot surgery, which meant that my mobility was limited and I was forced into hermit mode. And it was difficult because my flat, my apartment was like 1,000,000 degrees. I'm not joking. Nobody wanted to be here. We couldn't even open the windows properly because I'm on a main road, and it was shit. I'm not gonna lie, it was tricky. And then I started to get black mantis coming in my mind and know that I had presence in my room. And then when I spoke to my friend, we kind of, and he did some recon on the black mantis, because you always think of the mantids as being lovely healing beings. You know, a lot of people talk about how they love the mantis because they bring in healing energies and they are very artistic and they want to teach you. But I got the black mantids coming, which are like soldier, dark energy, and they'd basically captured a piece of me and they were experimenting on it and stuff like that. So luckily I had a friend who was able to go and do the remote view work on that and negotiate and get back pieces of me and stuff like that. So that's kind of increased my awareness that even though we long to have these ET connections and these amazing guides coming in, they've all got these conflicting agendas. Yeah, they just want a piece of you. And I even had I've had so much going on this past month. I had a demon discovery. And when I was a kid, I have a memory of having a devil in the room, and the memory was quite distorted. And I always wondered, was that real? Did that really happen? Or was that like a screen memory where it's covering up something else? And my friend was able to tune into the connection of a demon that I was attached to. And a couple of years ago, I'd had a really bad dark night of the soul. I was at my studio and people had been opening up portals and things like that. And it has allowed a demon who knew me to come forward and reattach itself to me, along with another like slug being or whatever. And it started to drain me. And it started to really put me into overwhelm. And I was struggling because, you know, the universe wanted me to focus on my spirituality, but I was still working in the mundane world, trying to do that job. And I was having negative interactions with people. You know, when you're trying to bridge two different environments that are so different, it's hard. So anybody who's still in the corporate world, still trying to do the mundane world when they know they're a spiritual person, I feel for you. And there will be a point in time when the universe will push you to make that leap, and it's a leap of faith and you've got to do it. And because you're putting yourself in an environment where the vibration is lower than you, and that is uncomfortable. So I was forced to try and make this switch, and I wasn't listening. And then this demon energy had come in, and then had been forcibly removed by a shaman that I employed to do that. But what I've discovered recently is the shaman didn't actually remove the demon fully. He just kind of quarantined it away from me. So the demon could be like 3 feet away from me right now, but he'd never be able to connect in because a force field was put in place around me. And my friend was able to channel and talk to the demon as if they were right there. So we started to find out when I was connected to this particular entity, and it was literally with me since I was 3 years old. And then there have been satanic rituals in my childhood that I'm just becoming aware of. And I had been married off to this demon entity when I was 11. And as soon as my friend said that, you know, it's in one of me and David Purcell's videos. I've been talking about when I was living in London, and I used to feel like I got locked away at nighttime in my mind. And what I know now is that was an altar coming forward. An altar was being activated to physically take me to different locations so that I could be part of these rituals. And literally to kind of get me out of the house into these dark spaces, these tunnels in London and things like that, where the other part, the demon part was there. So they needed my energy. They needed my power basically to do these rituals. And this is something that had been happening since childhood. When my friend was talking to the demon and they talked about two places where these things used to take place locally to me, I immediately knew they were around the corner from my house as a child. And it was just, it messed me up. It absolutely messed me up because we're talking about this physical body. And I'm okay thinking about clone versions of me. I'm okay thinking about aspects that are off world because I know they might have a piece of my soul, but they're not in this physical, this host body that I'm have. Like this is number one basically. And so that messed me up. So that's just one of the things that messed with me this month. Then I was interviewing somebody, a lovely person on my show, and I got targeted and I got scorpion attacked. And there's other videos where I talk about that. But now that scorpion ability is with me, so that's fine. And then on the last session I did with Sean Bond, we were talking about Lyran DNA because I've got a connection to these black pyramids. And when I dowsed who created these pyramids, I got it was the Lyrans. So, and ACIO files talk about me having Lyran skin grafts and how I'm basically alive thanks to those skin grafts, and which is on another video. And but we were talking about the Lyran Wars. We were going back millions of years to when my soul was, when me, a version of me, was deeply involved in this Lyran War with the Draco. And Sean Bond was talking about how the Draco reptilians, they would eat the Lyrans and they would capture their souls in their belly. And as soon as he said that, oh, I felt so bad. I felt so sick. I'm just going to put my fan on. And so that was one thing that really hurt my heart because there's versions of me that are Lyran, but there's also other versions of me. And in the same session, we were talking about looking into the SSP, the Secret Space Program, Super Soldier Program stuff. And when he went to recall the information about Kruger, there was warnings on the files, warnings about death and, you know, do I have anti-death abilities? Do I have anti-suicide abilities and stuff like that? And how the dark guys can literally create portals within you and just start piling in loads of sadness and things like that. So, and so then we had to stop and say, okay, maybe now's not the right time to do that work. But it kind of brought it into my awareness of this information is so protected because of the timeline wars, and somehow I'm linked to that. And I know there's factions that are that believe I've got some kind of information, which I don't believe I have. So yeah, so then we had the Full Disclosure Now conference. This is just in the last few weeks. And we had the Full Disclosure Now conference. And I did have some activated moments, even though I was watching on the live stream from the UK. I had some activated moments in that. One of it was Penny Bradley talking about altars, and talking about the Mothers of Darkness Castle, and passed me out on that. And then one was Drago Reed, and Drago and I have that connection, and he was talking about the Project Phoenix and who he was in that, and I had a reaction to that as well. So yeah, so there's been so much just in the first half of July that I've been dealing with, that I've been trying to show up publicly, but there's so much going on behind the scenes. So if anybody is like me and you're trying to recover your memories, you're trying to figure out who you are in this multiverse, it's hard. It's really hard. So take as many notes as you can, record as many videos as you can with people that resonate with you. So I've done paid sessions with people. You know, I've got some people who are my friends and they do free sessions with me, but generally, not everybody wants these things to be public. So I'm trying to do this as public as I can. I don't do that many private sessions. I really try and do the full disclosure because I think that's an important part of my mission, is to be talking about this stuff and hoping it will help people. So when it was the Full Disclosure Now conference and the Sasquatch with the Bigfoot, I did feel a presence of a Bigfoot, and I've had that confirmed that yes, there was a juvenile female that was in my room that was curious about me because I have a connection to the Bigfoot. So and that's a new kind of connection now that I'm going to be hopefully channeling as well. I'm going to start doing more automatic writing, but David Purcell and I, David does active channeling and I support him to do that because it's really high vibrational energy working with the Sasquatch. Their telepathy is very powerful, yeah. And they're interdimensional beings, so I'm really looking forward to connecting. I do have a strong elemental energy. So, yep. And then a week or so ago, I was in Glastonbury and I had a big lesson there of just sitting in stillness. I was in the wheelchair, it's at the Chalice Well. There's not much I could do, but allow myself to receive. Yeah, I'm in my masculine energy so much and I can be quite dominating and things like that. I don't mean to, but I do like to lead a lot of the time. So when I've been doing like partnered shows with people, I've had to kind of remember that I've got to let other people lead sometimes, and I can't always be, taking control of things. So going to Glastonbury was a big lesson for me, and allowing myself to be taken care of by my four friends, allowing myself to receive healing. Well, while I was there, I received so much healing on the podcast as well. So Phil Barrow, David Starr, Deb and Rick Purcell, they were all on the Typical Skeptic that weekend. And boy, did I receive some massive, massive healings, along with the healing I was doing with myself and the fact that I was on a ley line as well. So I received a lot of healing, a lot of upgrades while I was in Glastonbury. And so that was really big. So when I came home, all I could really do is integrate, integrate, integrate. And I started to connect into my Arcturian self a bit more and the Arcturian healing abilities. So there's a new ability that's coming forward. One of the coolest things I did this month, along with working with so many great people, I worked with Joshua Shapiro. And he has a website called Gateway of Light. Yeah. And he has this gateway that he's developed with his wife Katrina, who has passed on, and I think her soul name is something like Shallow Ma, and you can ask her questions. So she was able to come forward and talk to me. I asked the question, what is my soul's name? And I know when she put the call out into the universe for my soul to step forward, she said there was kind of lots of versions, but the name that rang the truest was my soul name of Alane Ra. So Alane Ra stepped forward and allowed the information to come through that I'm a flame scribe. So I record memories, and we kind of already knew that because there's a record keeper aspect of me that keeps popping up. Whether it's the Venusian aspect, the Atlantean, or whatever, there's always this record keeping aspect of me. So Alane Ra being a flame scribe, that felt true, that felt good. And um, she talked about me being a sanctuary soul, and so it's my soul's job basically to create that space where people feel safe to step into who they truly are. So me doing these videos is part of that, and allowing you hopefully to activate with the sound of my voice, to activate with some of my words, and to start to receive your memories back, because we all have amnesia veils that have been programmed in. But my voice is meant to be, as a flame scribe, my voice is activating. The words I write are activating. And the ACIO, I've even talked about me having an ability to activate DMT in people as well, which is a bit out there, but allows people to go a bit deeper, perhaps, in their meditations. So, and I, as part of the Gateway of Light portal, we talked to my Arcturian version of me, Telenaya, and so And I was talking to Commander Rialta, who is like a mirrored version of me as well. So that was really nice. So I've had a lot to integrate in the last 4 weeks. My violet flame is upgraded, and you guys know that's a big part of the work I do is anchoring the violet flame. I have released some guide connections because we sometimes we look outside of ourselves too much, and there's all these deities and ascended masters that want to come forward and support you, but there's a light and dark version of them all, perhaps, and angels and archangels and whoever. So we have to be really sure about who we're working with. And years ago, I hardly worked with anybody. It was only Merlin and Saint Germain and Guan Yin. And in the last 5 years, I've started to work with more goddesses, more gods and ascended masters, and violet flame patrons. But now I realize I can't really do that as much now. And it's nice to do that occasionally. It's nice to look at their archetypes. It's nice to anchor some of their energy, for particular things. But I can no longer be fully tuned into Merlin, fully tuned into Saint Germain, and even Guan Yin the way I do. So I'm calling back my energy across time and space, from people, places, and situations, calling back my energy across time and space from people and entities and things like that now. And I'm trying to stand in my power a lot more. And I suggest that you do the same. Yeah. And really start to anchor our power in there. So the more people we allow into our inner circle, the more your energy is getting diminished. So I'm coming back a little bit from my personal guide team, and I have a galactic consortium of guides. And this is because of who I was in the Orion Wars and all the different galactics I worked with, and how many different versions of DNA I have and stuff like that. But right now, my main focus for the rest of the year is to truly focus on the versions of me, the aspects of me, and collapsing down all the clones that are being used nefariously. I'm recalling my soul essence, yeah, and getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and not being afraid of my strength like I was many years ago. It allowed me to slip into darkness quite a bit, but now I know I can use that strength for the light. I can use those abilities that I've had since birth, and not allow my emotions to be suppressed in the way they have been because of these programs. So, as part of the targeted individual program, the TIRAP, they suppress me, they target me, they do lots of things to keep my life mundane, and I can't do that anymore. So, yeah, I'm going to be healing the handlers, but I'm also not going to worry about um, if people are negatively targeting me, then yeah, I'm going to start using abilities that I have a bit more, I think, to balance out karma. So yeah, so it's so easy to fall into the love and light psyop and say that everybody has to be love and light and be that toxic positivity, when really there is a balance in the universe, and some of us do the darker light work for a reason. Yeah, not everybody can anchor in those pure high vibe frequencies, because the world is not just purely high vibe. The world is lots of different resonance, lots of different frequencies. There's dark, awful things out there, but there's versions of us on the light side who are winning that battle. Yeah, so hopefully there's a version of me that's involved in that too. So this is probably a very long video, and just sharing with you what's happened in the last month of being me. So I'm stepping away from outgrown guide links of potentially manipulated frequencies that have been coming my way, and I'm stepping forward, asking the question, what do I want to do for the next 6 months, or however long the year is now? What do I want to do for the rest of this 2025? What impact do I want to have on our community? And I am available for private sessions. My website is anchorhaven.co.uk, and I generally work with people who are newly awakened. But this year I've started to work with star seeds and light workers, light warriors more, to do activations. So just trying to catch up my video. So yeah, so if you are in the process of recovering your memories, and if you have memories about me, please let me know. Please, let's set up a session together. So far I'm finding people who have a connection mainly from Darkfleet or from Atlantis and that kind of thing. But if you think you have a memory of me, please let me know and see, maybe we could do a session with David Purcell where me and David can enhance those energies and see what comes forward. So hang in there, guys, and speak to you soon. Thanks.